Hey guys, this is Andrew from Lethcode, and in this video we're going to be looking at our Blazor app and trying to add things like lists or click events. Where we left off, we had this Tour of Heroes app where we had bound the name, we can change the name, and then everything's bound as changed. If we go back over the Tour of Heroes app, I'll have the link to this part 2 in the description so you don't have to go look for it. But we're just going to have to start here. We're going to start by creating a mock heroes service. So here they have all this heroes data. If we go look at the app that we have already for our test app, we're going to look in the pages. We're going to look at the fetch data. They have the sample JSON weather data that already exists in the app. So if we look at where that's at, that's under the sample data. So we're just going to create a file here right next to that. And I'm going to just call it heroes for now. And then I'm going to just basically steal this. If I look at this one, it's basically the same. It's just in the array and the JSON data with these objects. So I'm going to have to make these match. One cool feature with Visual Studio Code is the multi-cursor. So if we go into selection here, there's the add cursor below, which is Control-Alt down arrow. So that makes it really easy to come in here and very quickly make this match. And then I have these end lines, and I'm just going to do a find replace on this single quote here. And replace all. Alright, we've got our JSON file. Save that, make it happy, and then I'm going to go into this fetch data, and I'm just going to basically steal this, which we're not going to get in the habit of copying and pasting, but here it makes it life really easy. If I come back to our heroes component, I'm going to paste this in right about here. So we're going to change this a little bit. We're not going to have weather forecast anymore. We're going to be using our heroes model, our hero array. I believe that's what we called it. Yep, hero. So I'm just going to call this heroes. Then use the same down here. Again, we're just going to change this to hero. And we called this heroes. So now we have a hero service. This should load when we start the app. So that'll get us far down the path here. We have a different import here that we don't need to do, and we don't need to export this class. So we should be good there. And I actually think I missed one thing. In our Heroes Razor page, we're actually missing something. We did pull in this HTTP, and we don't know what that is yet. If we come back over to fetch data, if we scroll all the way up to the top, we have this here to inject this, to use this dependency injection. This is already set up for us, so we can just go ahead and inject that over here. So I'll save that, and it should be working now, but we're not actually displaying that on the screen yet. So if we look at over here, what they're saying to do is do a ForEach. This has actually already been set up for you in the fetch data. So right now, if you want to take this as a mini challenge, go over, check the fetch data, and see if you can do the same thing on this page. Or go ahead and pause. When you come back, we'll work through this together. Okay, well, if you tried it on your own, we'll see how yours compares to mine. So the first thing that has to happen is with the async, we want to be able to show that something may possibly be loading. We don't want like an error to happen because this object is null. So I'm just going to grab this if else, and we'll just replace our code in here. So the first thing I'm going to do is just drop this here. I'll change forecast to heroes, and drop that down here as well. And so this is now going to be a hero instead of heroes. I don't need any of this up here as far as the table body goes. That is all just stuff that we don't care about. And if I'm looking here, what they were doing was they were looping through the badges. So if we find where those badges are here, span class badge. I don't have a class badge. We have an ID and a name. So it looks like they changed the class to add a hero's heading. And we're gonna go like this. Okay, so they changed the class. So we're gonna have to change the class as well here too. So I'm gonna go ahead and just copy and paste this in here. So they have a heading, and then they have the UL for heroes with the class that we don't have yet. And then they have a list item that they want to be repeated. So we're just going to grab our ForEach up. And I'm sorry that we're taking this weird way to do it, but I'm going to then move this into this block. And I don't think there's a fancy way to format it, so I'm just going to tab it over. And then now we have the span class. We're now using hero ID and getting rid of these double curly braces, and we have to do the binding on the hero name as well. And then that should be good. So now we have everything we should need there. Okay, so at this point we should have built our list. So I'm gonna do a save here and do a close and try run it to see how we're doing. Hopefully we have everything lining up and we should be able to run this. Luckily it compiles. So I'm just gonna run it here quick, and we have our list showing up. So we don't have any of the styling formatting yet. They have that just down here, and they're telling us we have to go down all the way to the bottom to pull that up. So I'm gonna go all the way down to the bottom here and find where that CSS is. And right now Blazor doesn't have a good way to do this. So the only way that I know of right now is to do this style, and this kind of would bleed over to other components. So it's not a good long-term solution, but at the time of recording this, they haven't pushed the fix out. They're gonna add a section like @style, according to some of the GitHub comments. So it's just not out yet. They don't have it documented. So I can't show you that at the time of recording, but hopefully by the time you guys get to it, you should have access to that @style or @styles, whatever they name it. So we now that we have the styles in there, I'm just gonna do a .NET build, .NET run. And then we'll see if it looks a little bit nicer. Okay, so we're starting to get a little bit nicer CSS. I've still got something a little bit off, but I'm not going to worry about that for right now. If I scroll back up to where we were at, the next thing we're going to be doing is adding a click handler. So at this point, we have our controller. It's loading up our list, and we have a details section down here, but there's really no event happening on the page. So what we need to do is they want us to add a click handler on this list item. The way we're going to do that is we're going to use an @onClick. After that, it gets a little funky because we're going to have to use a lambda here. So this will look like this. And then we're going to call a function called onSelect that we haven't written yet. And it's going to pass in the hero. Since we're in the... So this is showing up red, but it's okay for right now. So basically, we're going to call a function with no parameters, and that's going to call an onSelect. And we don't have to use the @ here because we're already inside with this. So this is mostly C# code. It gets a little funky when you have to do this lambda, so it kind of gets repeated. But this should be all we need to do here. So we'll have an onSelect, but this onSelect doesn't actually exist yet, so we'll have to go write that. So that's going to be down here. Here we're just going to do private void onSelect, and that's going to take in a hero, and we're just going to do hero here. So then we have to have a property for that to be set to. We still have this hero here, so I'm just going to use that. And I think, if I remember this correctly, they actually want this to be selected hero rather than hero. So we're going to change this to selected hero. And we're going to set selected hero equal to the hero we get passed. So there now, we should have the function. We should have everything we need. I'm going to double check. So we have onSelect. This is a hero, but we changed this hero name. So we're going to change from heroes, and then here's going to be selected hero. .NET. I'm going to go ahead and run .NET build here. Then we're going to do .NET run. Uh-oh, we got 6 errors. So we apparently didn't take up all the heroes. Oh, I didn't save it. So here we're going to do .NET build. .NET run. And refresh. Uh-oh, we got an unhandled error. What did we do wrong? Okay, so here's one of the cool things about Blazor is you can actually see in the console what's going on. And here it says object reference is not set to instances of the object, null reference exception. Okay, so let's take a look. We're using selected hero now, and when we start out, we're not setting this equal to anything. So this is actually going to be null when this first comes in. So this whole section here is trying to render the properties off of a null object. So I'm just going to do an if selected hero not equal to null. Then we're going to move this code up into there. I'm going to try to tab this over, but I don't think there's any hope that it'll be perfectly aligned. That's one of the other problems here is the formatting is kind of funky because it's mixing HTML with C# code, so the Visual Studio Code doesn't really know what to do. But I'm going to save that, and I'm going to do a .NET build and run it. And hopefully when we reload here, we see it a little bit nicer. So, okay, so now when we click down, it actually updates with this. And I'm just going to do an edit here just to see Taco Man's going to come back. So that actually changes the list to for us as well. So we've now switched this to a list. We can do the bindings, and we can also handle the click events. So with all of that, we've still got to do one more thing here. It's really hard to tell when we actually switch through these which one is actually selected in this list. So if we scroll down here, what they want, and it's already in our CSS that we copied, is they want us to style the selected hero. So in Angular, they're showing off that you can kind of do this ternary selected class to optionally show those. They're going to do that here in their list item. If we go back up to our list item, we're going to do the same thing, only ours is going to look slightly different since ours is now in Blazor code. So we're going to set the class equal, and we're going to use something that looks similar to the top line, but this is going to be hero equal selected hero, and then it's just a ternary operation that's going to say if it is equal to the selected hero, we're going to call the class selected, or else we're just going to set that equal to nothing. So I'm going to close up my parentheses here and hopefully get the right number of quotes, and that looks like it's right. I'm going to save it and do another .NET build, .NET run. Uh-oh. The selected hero does not exist in the current context. I'm not sure what I've... Oh, that was supposed to be lowercase. Okay, try that one more time. Alright, and we should hopefully have some more CSS changes here. So now this is actually a different color when this does get clicked on. It's not super dramatic, but there is a difference. So let's just double check to see if there's anything else. There's this code in here. It looks like that takes us to the end of this tutorial. There's nothing else to do in here, but I'm going to double check this CSS and see if we can't correct this really quick. So I'm going to select this Dr. Nice here, and I'm going to see if I can figure out why they're not going where they're supposed to be going. So it looks like it's this padding EM3 rule. So I'm going to scroll down here to the bottom and just remove that padding if I can. Alright, so I'm just going to comment this line out. Do my .NET build again. In my run. I'm not sure why mine's different than theirs, but if I can get rid of it, then I can get rid of it. So that took that one out, but it's still slightly off here. I'm not sure if there's another 0.3 padding somewhere. It looks like the badge has a padding as well. I'll take that line out as well, see if that makes it any better. Alright, and let's take a look to see what it looks like. We'll call that good for now. In the next video, we'll start breaking down these components. They're starting to get a little bit big, but we'll take care of that in the next video. See you there.